It was so bad she just couldn't. She just couldn't stay with us.
Yeah. Should we wait for her to return?
I'm sure she'll be back in a second.
No. Let me put it this way. I deliberately watched. What was it? Episode 6, where they finally got Ezra back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the episode where they finally met Ezra
Yeah.
and I attempted to watch episode 1, but let's just say I can completely understand why very few people watch it. I've watched the Clone Wars. I watched half of Rebels, and even I was sitting there going, "Oh my god, I have to do homework to understand any of this."
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yep. Well,
so I can completely understand why it wasn't watched. I have been keeping up with what was in sort of like every episode, and it's not a good thing that Filoni's in charge of everything.
yeah, it's become a bit of a controversy at this point.
Yeah.
Some people are singing his praises, and other ones are fearing for Star Wars even more than they had before.
Ahsoka was very much a show. Ahsoka was very much like Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
If it succeeded, great. If it failed, who cares? And the fact that Ahsoka is actually meant to be more like Iron Man or Thor or one of the main storylined movies from the Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Yep.
And the fact that Filoni's been put in charge after Ahsoka. Let's just pray that Favreau's sort of like behind the scenes giving him everything. So it's sort of a case of Favreau's not tied down with everything in Star Wars, but is there pretty much shepherding Star Wars? Because if that's not happening, yeah, Star Wars isn't going to be safe.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I saw the final fight scene in Ahsoka, and yeah, no, that should not have been put on film.
I agree.
Um,
I have a lot of things to say
that
about this show.
pretty much. I haven't seen all the other fight scenes, but yeah, Rosario Dawson really can't do it.
No.
They really should have gone hard on the intensive training because um actually I gotta admit the choreography in pretty much everything that goes on Disney Plus for Star Wars is just absolute garbage. Um I can't think of a fight scene that I've just sort of gone, yeah, that's believable.
Yep.
I mean, going back to Boba Fett, just a lot of the fight scenes in that were just
Terrible too. Yeah, they were.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is that it's not like there wasn't anything to work with. But when you see some of the fight scene, when you see some of the lightsaber duels in the prequels,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see that final fight scene in Ahsoka, you're just sort of like going, has the world just been like slowed down or something?
Yep.
Was Ahsoka really trained by Anakin?
There was only 2 good fight scenes in the Ahsoka show, and they both had something to do with Hayden Christensen and young Ahsoka, and that's it.
Though I do like the fight scene with Ezra and the Stormtroopers.
Ezra did good.
Just Ezra.
Good. He did good.
Ezra and the Stormtroopers. That was really cool. I did in fact like that. Him not just using a lightsaber and him just using sort of
The Force,
knowing the flow of the battle and the Force.
That was, yes, I did like that.
Especially seeing how he was all sort of very, I'm trusting the Force type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So he just went into the battle trusting the Force.
Yep. Also, Baylan, I did like him. He was probably the only character, or him and his Padawan. I liked them both. I do appreciate the fighting style that Baylan had quite a bit.
I haven't seen it, so I can't tell.
He looks and fights like a knight from like the medieval age, and I like that idea. And I like that. It's unique. I've not seen it before, but for like as far as the choreography in this show goes, the only time that I was ever actually blown away by any of it was when Hayden Christensen was on screen. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
And the thing, I mean, he had prior training for it already. He was Anakin in the prequel trilogy, of course. So it's not exactly hard to believe that he's retained some of that talent. He can't just forget all of that.
No, you can't.
Stranger things happen, but it was very obvious though that he was having to slow down for Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka. He wasn't going.
Okay. Yep.
It was
full ball.
Painfully obvious because there was so many moments that I could tell that if it was prequels Anakin, he would have already beaten her, but
Gotcha.
He was going slow, but the choreography for it was good. It was just slow, and I don't know, the style that he was fighting doesn't really fit slow to me.
Yep.
So honestly, they just need to rehire Nick Gillard, the choreographer for the prequels, instead of trying to go this weird realistic route. I mean, these are lightsabers, for heaven's sake. There's nothing realistic about it.
Oh, the thing is though, is that we're talking about lightsabers here. They'll have the weight of a flashlight.
Yeah.
So realistic as one of the YouTubers that do sword fighting and all that, if they wanted to be realistic, they would be fencing.
Exactly.
Because if you're using the weapon,
talking about
Shadowversity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, there's another one too.
And I absolutely agree with them. I
Mhm.
absolutely agree with him. If you are thinking about the weapon profile of what a lightsaber is, you would be fencing
Mhm.
because all you need to do is just touch the enemy. So maintaining range would be a premium. Um,
Yeah.
and with the amount of damage that a lightsaber will do, yeah, you just need to thrust.
Exactly.
And she returns.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just all of my devices have low batteries and yeah, so I'm gonna be switching to another one probably in a few minutes, but yeah, I'm back for now.
Well, it's
Well,
good
you
that
see,
you're back.
that's why you charge them before coming on.
I did. I did. Like I usually do this for my iPad, and I left it plugged in for like 15 minutes, and it was still only at 1%. I don't know what. Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's your problem. You have an
it
iPad.
is. Yeah, whatever. It's been working fine all these years, but I don't know. Um,
Today it decided just like I don't want power up today.
yeah, yeah, basically that. But
Well,
so,
at
what
this
have you
present
all been
moment,
talking about?
we've been talking about fighting styles in Ahsoka, or the
Ah,
choreo, or the lack of choreography.
Yes, the
yeah.
lack of good choreography.
Oh, and hang on, we need to bring this up. If you're going to be run through with a bloody lightsaber, at least be down for a couple of episodes.
So
You know, the true Mary Sue like of Star Wars lately, it's like it's the Bacta tank or whatever. Like it's like somehow the it's
yes,
there's nothing that can't be cured except a broken heart, you know, but
apparently.
But
honestly
no,
that's next. That's next.
Yep,
I
that's it.
mean, someone created a video about it, and oh, that's right, it was the critical drinker.
Mhm.
And pretty much, if it was realistic, the minute the lightsaber went through your body would pretty much vaporize and explode.
Mhm. Yep.
Because
So
we're talking about something that is liquefying your body the minute it enters, just by the heat alone, and you would cook. Now, let's just be fair, and they want to use non real world physics.
Yes, let's be fair.
yeah,
Let's be fair, and they don't want to use real world physics. Even if it's not superheated plasma or something like that, we're talking about something that would be cooking your insides anyway. That would
it could
probably
be.
take a bit to bloody heal, especially if you're run bloody through. It's something that is cauterizing the wound, and you've got a what,
I
3 centimeter? No, sorry, it's about 5 centimeter hole in your stomach,
I need to
probably even larger.
I haven't seen the clip in a while, but I need to go and look at it and see where precisely it goes through, like thinking about what organs would have been taken
I think
out.
I think it was
We
the
are
gallbladder.
we are talking about intestines, liver. It was kind of, from memory, uh,
I thought
in
it was
the
around where the
stomach
gallbladder
area.
was.
It was in the stomach area, top right, on the top right side. So yeah,
Yeah.
someone somewhere is having Sabine pate, because it would have definitely gone through the liver and cooked that. Um, definitely would have gone through a few intestine. So
Can we just take a moment to remember that Qui-Gon Jinn was stabbed and he died, and everybody else that's been stabbed has survived?
yeah, but I mean, I can
Oh.
understand. I mean, I can kind of understand because Qui-Gon was hit dead center,
Yeah.
so that would have gone through the spinal column.
But you also got to think about this, though. Even though it's not a lightsaber, Fennec was shot in the same region, and they just put some robotics there to keep her alive.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still unfair. People don't die
Yeah.
in Star Wars anymore.
Even though they should.
Yes, I agree.
Now, I mean, the thing is that everyone's sort of gone, oh, well, you know, Darth Maul was cut in half. Yeah, Darth Maul wasn't human. So maybe alien, alien physiology type situation. So, let's just skip that one for 5 seconds.
Well, yeah, and apart from that, and I know I've kind of Twitter ranted about this before, but even if you didn't have that excuse, and this is something that something that these writers need to just learn to accept. People are willing to, for certain characters, they're willing to accept, if they're interested enough in those characters, they're willing to accept maybe the laws of physics being bent, for them. Maul is kind of like he's like Milton's Lucifer kind of in the story. Like he's kind of like one of those, like how he fits in the story. He's just kind of more of this like so ridiculously evil that it's his evilness that just keeps him alive, basically. And people are willing to accept that as like kind of a one-off, like just kind of as an occasional, like, okay, because that character is
he
special
survived
enough.
somehow.
Yeah, but people don't like that. It gets old when you do that for every character. Yeah.
They did that exact same thing though 2 more times. Actually, almost 3. If
you get a stomach wound. Everyone gets a stomach wound.
And that's the thing where it's like, when people are like, well, why don't you accept it when it happens to like Reva or whatever? It's like, well, because people aren't interested in Reva. Sorry, deal with it. That's, there doesn't even need to be any more explanation than that. People don't like that. They're not interested in that character. That's your problem. I'm sorry. If you want the special privileges, then you need to make that
characters.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like you haven't earned it.
But I mean, the thing is that it would probably have been accepted if we hadn't have seen the Grand Inquisitor get stabbed in the stomach and then come back.
Yeah.
So hold on, let's think about this for a second. He gets stabbed, comes back. Okay, in the same series, Reva in the past gets shown being stabbed, comes back. Then at the end of the series, Reva gets stabbed and shot and doesn't die.
Yeah.
Let's think about that for a second, Like,
well, I guess they just don't make Jedis like they used to.
And then here's Qui-Gon, who's a very respected character, and they're like, yeah, no, he's just going to die. Maybe they'll invent bacta-tanks like right after he dies,
Now, but, I mean, let's be perfectly frank. Reva didn't even go into a bacta-tank the second time.
Oh, that's true. She didn't.
Yeah, she didn't even need that. Yeah.
And she was just walking around and I'll wield a lightsaber with a stomach wound, yeah, I'm going to be able to lift the lightsaber above my head or climb a ladder. Hint, you can't do that with a stomach wound.
She's got so much hatred, it's allowing her to do that. I mean, Darth Maul did that, so why are we complaining, huh?
No, you try and lift your hands above your head and not have your stomach muscles engage.
Yeah, but Darth Maul did it, and he was only half the thing he used to be. So
That's because he's special and interesting, and Reva is not.
Well, no. Remember,
I'm willing to go with that argument. That's the thing, is that I'd just be like, like, suck it, you kind of Kenobi writers. Too bad you did such a terrible job, with your new characters. People didn't like them enough to want them to survive stuff like that. So there.
Yeah, but also alien physiology. Darth Maul was not human.
Well, that is very true. That is very true. And
we can.
I mean, you can argue because they are very humanoidish, they have similar organ structures, but nobody really truly knows.
No.
And not only that, but with even though he was cut in half, the fact that he was able to keep himself alive. I mean, well, actually, no, this is a better argument. So, I mean, originally we all thought he was dead. He was only brought back during the Clone Wars, So at the time, people didn't like that he was dead. People wanted him to come back because he was such a cool villain. So they decided to bend the rules. So originally, he wasn't going to come back. He was a dead character. And in a way, I feel like Darth Maul is the one that started this problem, though. Even though he's a really good character, I really do like that they brought him back. But there's consequences to this particular action. Now everybody's coming back for the same reason.
It seems, yeah. And that's
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm probably saying what you're going to say, but yeah, that's the issue. It seems like a lot of, and this isn't just a Star Wars thing, I mean, you can see this in just general Disney animated movies or other things. Like a lot of these tropes, that the kind of these very tired ones that people, get sick of seeing, like, oh, everyone's, no one's dying from lightsaber wounds, or no one's this, it's like, it often starts out with one really good example of that occurrence happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then later writers are like, well, we'll just repeat that. It's like, no. When you repeat that, it takes away the specialness of the original incident. Exactly. It's like other things, like, I was talking on Twitter, like, people talking about, like, Disney does, like, all these little kind of like what people are calling, like, the adorkable heroine with the same kind of look and personality type. And it's like, and it's like, it really worked for kind of the original who did it, when they did Rapunzel. But there are a lot of important story reasons for that. And now they kind of are just kind of like a blueprint, almost recycling even the same, like, probably files from, like, the body type and facial expressions to just onto other characters. And it's like, no, like, just because something worked, in one story at one point in time doesn't mean that it's going to work for others. And yeah, that seems to be a lot of what they've been running into with a lot of these very memeable moments that we're getting out of these shows lately. It's yeah.
It no longer feels scary to see somebody stabbed in a sense of, oh, this character's going to die. It's scary because you think they're going to survive it, which is a weird It's a weird feeling. It
I kind of
has
agree
a
that.
complete opposite effect now. Like, oh no, they got stabbed. Are they going to survive it? Please tell me they're not going to survive that. And then next scene, they're sitting in the bed with some sort of, be it mechanical stuff going on in their abdomen or just some sort of patch, which
Yeah,
is
patch.
also really weird. I guess back to patch. I don't know. It's getting crazier all the time. First it was back to tanks, and now they're down to just little tiny patches. I don't know on that one, but like now you got to worry if they're going to survive it instead of die from it. Like no, they're not dead.
And the other thing that worries me about this whole, you know, about this whole conversation and kind of what studios are thinking, it's like, because I worry that they're going to think in order to correct this issue of like, oh, okay, so instead of continually having characters survive, we're gonna go bear, kind of in the opposite direction extreme, and we're gonna just keep killing off everyone, like just without, indiscriminately. It's like, no, 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 no. The reason, like the reason that sometimes you get character resurrections, like kind of way out there character resurrections in the first place, well, like, is often because originally it started off with where you have some writer deciding to kill off characters that they probably shouldn't have killed off in the first place for various story reasons. And so it's like, that's the problem, is I feel like they're always going to just like oscillate between either everyone gets a stomach wound and there's no consequences, to we're going to kind of knock off all of the kind of critical characters to a story and not think about consequences down the road if we ever want or need to use them again. I'm gonna end up writing, ourselves into a corner with this. And then being forced to do some kind of outlandish resurrection in order to correct, kind of to undo the killing they shouldn't have done in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these twin problems always feed off each other.
And, the way I see Darth Maul's resurrection, it does make a lot more sense due to certain factors, such as he was sort of a Night Sister thing, and they have this magic stuff. Huh?
Dathomirian?
Yeah, Dathomirian. Sorry. Dathomirian magic, all that stuff. It's more acceptable and believable due to the context of that. But then you have Reva and the Grand Inquisitor and Sabine, who all get stab wounds, and they're pulling a Monty Python, being like, "Oh, it is but a scratch,"
A mere flesh wound.
"'Tis but a flesh wound," and it really also destroys lightsabers in general. The weapon that is iconic to the driving good force in the galaxy. They're supposed to be dangerous weapon.
The weapon that you can stab into a metal blast door and melt it open.
Yes.
But if you get stabbed by it, you just walk it off. Don't worry.
Exactly. Like, where's the logic in this? I liked it better when lightsabers did damage, rather than flesh wounds.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that, this is also one thing that, you could almost call it the pro Darth Maul argument, is that the blade went straight through him.
Yep.
So it wasn't like it was sitting in his stomach cooking. Because all of the stabs, when you see it, it's all the as they've been stabbed. So of course, it's in there frying a few things more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Uh,
with Darth Maul, it just instant slash. Instant
yeah,
slash.
instant
It
slash,
didn't linger.
straight through.
It
So
didn't linger. It
yeah,
just
okay,
that's it.
cauterized. He's Dathomirian, not human, so maybe he's where the waste comes out is different. Uh,
Maybe.
maybe we don't know what their physiology is, and Dathomirian magic, so it's a little bit, yes, is it stretching the truth? Is it stretching the truth so much that it would make Mr. Fantastic blush? Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get there with all these bloody stabbing wounds of humans, and even with the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah, maybe he could get away with it because he's also an alien. Maybe where Reva stabbed him, there wasn't anything vital. We don't know. But with all the human stabbings, no. just no.
I mean, let's think about Reva for a second. She first
No,
gets
let's not.
we gotta think about when she got stabbed the first time. We've been talking about Maul and Sabine. Let's talk about Reva's getting stabbed the first time as a child. You gotta
Mhm.
think for a second. That's a little child, so that stab wound would probably do a whole lot more damage to a child than it would an adult. They're smaller,
Yep.
so
Yep.
their organs are probably all
10-year-old
closer together.
child with a 10-year-old child with a 5 centimeter hole in her stomach.
Yeah. Like that wouldn't be as bad on a
don't
much
know I'm
larger
laughing
person
at.
as it would be a tiny child. You okay?
I don't know.
Remember, don't be drinking any tea.
I was just
Yeah.
trying to hydrate with water with that one, but it was how you delivered it. The like 10-year-old child with a 5 centimeter whatever hole, and I'm just like,
That
we're
can go.
terrible.
That can go R-rated so quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, let's remain more PG to PG-13.
I love how you gave up on PG. It's PG-13 now.
Well, I mean, I can't control everything.
I'm in the chat.
Yep. This
Hey,
is Australian rated G.
Yeah, Australian rated G. Hey,
What
Oh no,
rating
if it was Australian rated G, there would be a lot more swearing.
oh well, it's TVY7 then for Australians, which is lower than rated G in America technically.
Yeah,
Cool.
actually, I was gonna.
We've
I was
only
gonna.
got G.
It's lower than G. It's well, then again, that might be like TV ratings and movie ratings are different. So I don't know if that counts. Anyways, never mind. But give me just a second. You can continue with what you're doing. I'll be right back.
What are we doing?
Discussing
Talking.
stab wounds in a tiny child.
Kind of glad we're not Irish, or we don't have a lot of Irish viewers
No kidding.
talking about stabbings and children.
No kidding. Yeah. Ugh.
What were we
So-
discussing before we got off topic about holding children?
I don't know, but I'm actually
And,
right
and
now.
our host has Youngling Slayer 3000.
Right. I'm actually trying to look up what the final ratings were for the Ahsoka show because I just, at least from what I recall, I don't see this justifying like a movie. Like it's I
Doesn't
can't.
justify the stabbing of children.
No comment. Um, but really though, are they really still going to try and put a movie into the box office based off of this stuff?
It'd be very surprising if they didn't, to be
Like
honest.
they can't, especially when you see how what's happening, like say on the Marvel side of things, where it's clear that that strategy of like putting out a movie where you have to have watched like 2 or 3 Disney Plus shows to actually know what's going on, like that, and on top of it with those characters, it's
It didn't work for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I mean, watching episode 1, and I said this when you went on, so I don't blame you for not realizing. But I was watching episode 1. Someone who's watched Clone Wars and half of Rebels, and even I felt like I needed to do homework to understand what the bloody hell was going on.
Mm-hmm. It should never. I don't understand. If they wanted to do a Rebels season 5, they should have just called it that and
Rebels
animated
season
it.
5, yeah.
Yeah, they should have called it that to set expectations and animated it and not tried to kind of make it do so much stuff, and just have it that all being its own separate thing, universe, whatever. But yeah, it's they surely ought to know at this point that there's only so much homework audiences are willing to do. And if they think that they're going to do any better by putting out a movie, like I kind of hope they do because it's going to do so poorly. It's like that. Oh my.
The Marvels will probably do better than it.
That's
I don't know.
sad.
That's a little hard to believe.
That is sad.
That would be very sad.
That would be so amazingly impressive to do worse than the Marvels.
Than the Marvels. But it's true. I'm sorry if they attempted to, especially after what happened with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
To then try and do a movie on that and not have, and let's just say there's it's just what we got from Ahsoka. So they're not adding any member berries from anywhere else to get it going. It's not going to go anywhere.
It isn't, and if you think about the time
all of
that'll
the
have
fans,
elapsed.
Yeah, because all of the fans of Ahsoka and all of the fans that had hope for Ahsoka aren't there anymore. They watched Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They watched Ahsoka and they're not there anymore. So to get an Ahsoka movie or whatever movie, because I think it's sort of like Mandalorian and all that, and after Ahsoka and season 3, they're not going to be rocking up.
No.
Unless season 4 absolutely blows everyone's pants off. Or season 2 of Ahsoka blows everyone away. They're not rocking up.
No.
So
honestly,
and the thing is another problem with all of this, which we kind of haven't talked about, and I'm guessing, someone in the chat probably won't want to talk about it. Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot to say about that too.
Oh, sorry, you did want to talk about it. Okay.
I do.
But I
I
mean,
got a lot to
the
say.
thing is that Thrawn is the dumbest dumbest smart person I've ever seen.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going to call him Thran because this isn't Thrawn.
Not, yeah.
Thran.
There's so
This
much
isn't Thrawn.
wrong with what they did with him, and it's what's so painful about it is it's like I remember like oh my goodness. It even like if you think about the difference between Thrawn and Ahsoka versus Thrawn and Rebels, and I get that there's plot armor issues in Rebels that kind of keep him from doing certain, kind of limited the use of his character in that show. That said, it's amazing to just even compare the differences between his treatment in that show versus his treatment in Ahsoka. And it's like they didn't even. It's like in Ahsoka, they didn't even care. Like,
No, they care. They absolutely care.
right.
The thing is that they're not smart enough to write a character like that.
I didn't like, and I don't know how to express it or explain it, but I just don't. One thing I really didn't like, and once again, I haven't read any of the books. I'm just kind of familiar with what people told me about them mainly, and kind of summaries I've read of the books and stuff like that. But one thing that kind of got me was like, I don't like the idea of him. I like more of him. I don't like the idea of him working with basically sorcerers, and magical people. I don't feel like him and magic stuff like that doesn't mix. I like where he's a character where it's like he doesn't need magic. He's and I think it's also that kind of sentiment that I like from the original trilogy where it's people who are able to kind of the people who are able to have magical abilities are very rare, and the original trilogy is almost kind of it's a war between the Empire and the Rebellion, but it's also I kind of see it more of as kind of also there's this other little war between the very few rare like magical characters versus kind of the
science.
Science, the Empire, mechanical, like you know what I mean, like that kind of aspect
motif
to it. Yes.
Though I will admit, though, when in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, Thrawn did enlist the work of a Dark Jedi named Jar Sabaoth. So in a way, it's a very similar concept, but it's the Force, which is a well-known, no pun intended, force. It's very well known in the galaxy, and like Dathomirian magic, not as well known, to be honest. And I feel like he would be more readily accepting of a force user as long as it's his needs, as opposed to something that he knows probably very little of, which is Dathomirian magic.
Which the thing is that I could see him using it as a tool.
I mean, because like he's if we're talking about actual Thrawn, he would be the kind of person to try to employ any tools necessary that would help him gain victory.
Yeah. and not have his troops just walk into something that gets them absolutely torn to shreds. I mean, the thing is the perfect example is when the ships were chasing Ahsoka into
Mhm.
the graveyard or whatever the bloody hell thing it was called. The best, I think, tactic that you could probably say would be to have the fighters fly, chase them to the graveyard, then have them come back, at which point they take bloody pot shots with the bloody space guns.
Mhm. Yep.
Or even have the fighters just sit there and fire at them, making them think that, oh, we're still being chased. No, they're just taking Hail Mary shots just to keep you on edge.
Mhm.
That's something that you do in tactics, not,
Mhm.
oh, just have them fly in and, oh, they're destroyed. Well, they gave us time. Oh, yes, I'm so smart to realize that. No. And
But
when bloody going after Ezra, probably the best thing to do would just have ships circling them. Keep them, herd them like cattle.
mhm.
Their ships aren't going to be able to hang on, what was I going to say? Herd them like cattle because their ships aren't exactly going to be able to be shot down. We're not talking about people that have AA guns strapped to their mobile homes. This
Mhm.
isn't the deep south we're talking about. Oh, geez, no response to that? Okay. But so the thing is that they could have pretty much had Ezra and all that going anywhere they wanted to. They didn't need to put boots on the ground. Um, this isn't the U.S. Army. Um,
Yeah.
so there was no reason for them to essentially get into lightsaber range.
Nope.
Especially after the bounty hunters bloody got chewed up and spat out.
Yep.
That's another thing. Um, why did they only use the bounty hunters? You know, if you
Because
think
they were
about, I mean,
disposable.
well, what I'm saying is, if they really wanted to slow them down, they would have sent a few more forces, to make sure that they destroyed them instead of just a few pot shots here and there. Like if you really want to slow them down, you need to do major damage to their ship. The only reason that they were able to even catch up to the Chimera before it left was because he didn't stop them from getting up there with like what resources he had available. Frankly, he didn't even have to probably have all those whatever he was carrying or trying to load onto his ship. He didn't even have to have all that. Probably it was just there to build tension. Like he has to have all this cargo before he leaves, and he's only got this much time to do it. So we got to stall and keep them from getting here, so we have time to get all these things inside. Like I feel like you could have left a few of those crates and still been, at least had a good head start on them. I don't know. I thought it was a little
Yes.
bit. I thought it was a little bit crazy the way that he handled that situation. And then in the end, he was playing it off like it was a victory because he's like, "I've stalled them. That they won't be here in
I've
time."
stalled
You
them
know,
long
but then
enough.
he ends
I've lost a
Yeah.
battalion of troops. It doesn't matter. I've lost a fighter wing and all these other troops that I could be using to take over the galaxy. Yeah, no, it's fine.
perfectly fine. And that's what bugged me so much about it. It's like it wasn't a victory, and he was treating it like it was. And it gets worse. By the end of that final episode, he's talking so triumphantly over the comms to Ahsoka, telling her that he'd won the day. But honestly, it did not feel like a victory for Thrawn. Like the whole time, I was hoping that Thrawn would actually win. I wanted Thrawn to do something really cool for the season finale, you know? Because I didn't want
He was
the heroes to beat him right off the bat. But
he
here we are
was
with
he was
him
acting
winning, and it didn't feel like it.
he was acting like Sun Tzu on a victory that a World War One British general would be going, "Geez, I can't believe we just won that one, boys."
Yeah.
And what did we win? 1K of land. Yeah. How many people did we lose? 30,000. Great. That was less than I thought.
That's good. That's good.
But I mean, that's Thrawn now. He's a World War One British general.
Mm-hmm.
We have lost 3 battalions, but did we win? Yes, sir.
Yep. And it really bugs me. It's not how I read Thrawn to be, you know? And maybe I sound like one of those purists that only accept the old expanded universe. I mean, I'm not exactly a purist, but that's the only thing I consider Star Wars at this point because that's the only thing that feels like it. It's not even because I want it
No,
to be the
we're,
EU.
we're not even dealing with Rebels Thrawn here.
Nope.
We're not even dealing with Rebels Thrawn here. Where, they Jake Skywalker their own character type of
I know.
situation.
They jaked a lot of characters in that show.
They've been Jake Skywalking pretty much every character in Disney.
Ultimately,
Star Wars.
everyone gets jaked. All paths lead to Jake. Everyone will get jaked.
All paths lead to Jake. I like that. That's good. I'm going to use that now.
Boba Fett, Jake. Ahsoka, Jake. Luke Skywalker, well, yeah.
Dear Lord, I don't even want to think about that.
Oh, Mon Mothma, Jake. Pretty much, yeah. If there's
Mando
any
is definitely
characters-
jaked.
Yeah. Oh, and that's actually something that bloody bothered me. I just remembered that. How many years between Ahsoka and bloody Andor has there been? Almost 20 years, and Mon Mothma doesn't look like she aged a day.
That's true. That's true. She really doesn't.
I mean, come on. At least have her in bloody grey hairs by now. Oh, well, no, actually, because it would have been... Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least, make the red hair a lot more bloody fake looking. No, but I mean, I think that's probably the biggest problem is that, she actually looked that young in Return of the Jedi. So it's probably more a case of they didn't make her look young enough in bloody Andor.
Yeah, that's actually, you're probably right.
Another reason why I don't like Andor. But yet again, they jaked Mon Mothma. Oh, and yeah, no, sorry, I have to state this. They need to stop showing us the New Republic.
I agree.
They just need to stop. They need to remove themselves from the New Republic post haste, because the more we see, the more we come to know how unbelievably incompetent the New Republic is, which is hilarious because the more we see how incompetent the New Republic is, the more incompetent the First Order becomes.
Mm-hmm.
They are actively destroying their own bloody sequel trilogy by showing us the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And they will justify it by saying like, oh, but this is like we're doing like what the Clone Wars
The
did
Fall
for
of
the
Rome.
prequels, or we're like explaining how we get to the Force Awakens, and it's like you all are missing the point. Even if you do an excellent job of getting people from A to B, people just don't want to go to B. They don't want to go there at all.
No. It's got nothing to do with not going to B. It's got nothing to do with that. With showing how incompetent the New Republic is, the First Order should have been able to rock up with 100 Star Destroyers and just simply rock up and go, I am the captain now.
Mm-hmm.
The fact they built Starkiller Base shows that they're so completely it shows how completely oblivious they are to what's going on in the galaxy, that they didn't realize that, hang on a second, why are we wasting all these resources when we can just walk up to the New Republic and go, we're in charge now, and have the general population go, oh, thank God, because these people are bloody incompetent. But that's sort of so that's why I'm sort of saying that in showing the New Republic so much, and just how dumb and incompetent they are, it is showing how the First Order is just as incompetent, that they don't realize that they can't just walk up and sort of like, we're in charge now. We're just like the old regime. We'll keep order and stability, and everyone in the galaxy would be going, oh, thank God, please take us over, Daddy. So it's frankly, everyone needs to be, anyone that has anything to do with storyline or story writing in Lucasfilm needs to be fired. And not because, they're not aligned with my politics or yada. No, they're just that goddamn incompetent that they need to go out and live and experience the world. They need to get out of their bubble because they don't know how humans react or how governments react, or frankly, they all need to go back to bloody high school. Sorry, hang on. They would be all trained in, they would be all educated in the American high school system. They need to leave America and go to an actual school system, go through high school again, and then come back and try and write something.
That is honestly, it is a big problem with kind of how they handle how kind of they've handled politics in Star Wars is you can tell it's very much they're looking through an American lens.
It's American. It's American. It is all American. I am sorry. It is all American. It is so goddamn obvious. Mainly because you're one of I don't know if you are the only country that has a two-party system. There might be some countries out there that might have a two-party system, but then again, their population is probably 1/1,000,000th the size of America's.
Probably true.
But I think you're the. I mean, you just have to look at the Dutch parliament. No, is it the Dutch? No, the Israeli government. Their coalition has 5 different parties in it. Well, so their government has 5 different parties in it, and they're possibly looking at getting a 6th one in.
Yep.
Oh, really?
And that's normal.
Yep.
In most governments.
Ooh.
Hell, I bet there's probably some smart ass sort of going, oh, but you're Australian. And doesn't Australian have only a 2-party? No. Because one of the parties is a coalition. Well, sorry, one of the 2 major parties is a coalition. Hence why whenever they're in power, we call it the coalition government. And I think it's even the same in bloody the UK. And we have half a dozen bloody smaller parties. They just don't really have the power to sort of they do have a lot of power, just not in the way of forming government. And that's also the same in the UK. So, yeah, don't write politics if the only politics you are knowledgeable of is American. Because you're an oddity.
Exactly. Well, with the way the Ahsoka show has went, it's really caused a big stir for Star Wars fans. It wasn't good. It had moments that made me question whether it was going to get good or not. The acting in it wasn't great. There was some acting that was quite terrible, actually. And
you can put Ahsoka into this one statement. Abandon hope, all ye that watch this show.
Yep.
True enough. And I think the worst acting has to go to Ahsoka herself. In my opinion, she was just stoic and emotionless the entire time. Didn't matter whatever was going on. She was just stoic and emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would disagree with that. I would say she was showing emotion of complete and utter boredom.
Oh, okay.
or no, sorry. She was showing emotion, complete and utter pride in herself. I am Ahsoka. I know exactly what I'm doing, even if I'm not, and even if I'm proven not to.
Yeah. And it just takes me back to like I'm trying to think of what it was. It just takes me back to a little bit of Attack of the Clones acting, which wasn't great. Though I do like the movie. I can honestly say the acting wasn't great, nor was the dialogue for some people. And it wasn't even because, of the actors. I'm not blaming Hayden Christensen for his Anakin or anything like that, like people used to. It's all because of direction. But in this case, they've had time to perfect this. They've had time to get the characters right. But here we are again with people poorly directing their characters to show the proper emotions. And not only that, but they're also making the characters do things that don't feel in character for them as well. Like Sabine being able to use the Force in general isn't right, in my opinion. I don't care about the Force being in all living things. There are others who are more sensitive to it, and Sabine has never been sensitive to it. Mandalorians are typically never sensitive to the Force, besides that one from the first Mandalorian Jedi. Ever since then, there's not been a single Mandalorian Jedi. And it's really weird that all of a sudden now, even though there was no hint of it before, but Sabine is Force sensitive. And she's able to force yeet Ezra into a hangar.
Force yeet.
Yeah, force yeet, Like she wasn't able to grab a cup, so instead she, just meditates for half a second while almost being killed by a zombie death trooper. And I can throw him now. I'm not going to care about whether I actually get him.
Well, it's easier to throw a person than throw a cup. Don't you get it?
Apparently that's the message they want to throw at us, just like they threw Ezra. But
that's actually talking about Sabine. Is it just me, or does it seem like the hairstyle added 10 years?
Which one, the long hair or the short hair? I'm pretty sure you're talking about short hair, but
the short hair. Because, I mean, the long hair made her look like she was in her mid-20s, or mid to late 20s. And then they cut it short, and it made her look like she was in her mid-30s.
I can sort of see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah. Just I had to bring that up because it was just sort of one of those sort of situations of, yet again, Disney stuffing up. Because she looks really good with her long hair. And looks very young and youthful. And then the minute she has the short hair, she doesn't look young or youthful.
I think it's different per person, really, but I can see that. And I'm
looking at a photo of her with sort of medium length in between, and she looks great. They should have gone with that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that is more Sabine's style anyway. I didn't like, and this isn't because of the actor or anything like that I'm saying it. Because I even didn't like the short hair in Rebels either. When at the very end, I didn't like it. But that's just my opinion, of course.
And one thing I didn't realize, she's Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But a Sydney sider, so pretty much half American anyway.
Well.
No, I pretty much if you live in Sydney, you lose 50 IQ points.
Shots fired, man. Shots fired.
Pretty much 90% of the Australian population enjoy movies where Sydney gets destroyed.
And when what gets destroyed? Oh, when Sydney gets destroyed.
Sydney.
I was about to say, wait, what did you say? But no, I realized what you said afterward. I wonder why that is.
Most of it is due to the fact that, well, okay, pretty much every time this question is asked to the general American public, what's the capital of Australia? What do you think they answer?
Sydney.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a point where Canberra wasn't the capital city of Australia, mainly because it hadn't been built yet, so it couldn't be the capital city. But guess which city was the capital city for that time period?
What city? What was it?
Melbourne.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Melbourne was the capital city of Australia for one very big reason. You know what that was?
Why? Why was it?
Because for the time period of Federation, which is 1901, yeah, Melbourne was the richest city in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting, sir.
The gold rush in Ballarat. That's why.
That'll do it.
Yep. And I've actually been in the building where they used to hold Parliament. It is a gorgeous building. An absolute gorgeous building. And it's right next to a metal monstrosity.
Of course.
Look up photos. It's the old exhibition building. And they eventually actually built a new exhibition building, which we affectionately call Jeff's Shed, because it looked like a big giant shed built by the then premier, who was absolutely ridiculed a lot. So it's not affectionately called Jeff Shed, it's just called Jeff Shed because we thought that Jeff was a bit of an asshole and he built a shed.
Well, there you go.
I'm sorry, I'm typing something. So
yeah, I'm actually getting back on topic. I actually feel really sorry for the actress that played Morgan. Was it Morgan?
Morgan Elizabeth, yeah.
Yeah.
Elsbeth, sorry.
As someone pointed out, she's actually a martial artist.
She did. Her choreography was great. That's another one I wanted to mention. How about that?
And you could see it. You could absolutely see it. Probably the same with Hayden Christensen. The fact that they had to slow down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And previous to Ahsoka, I actually did think that Rosario Dawson was a good pick. Yeah, now not so much.
Yeah.
It's really interesting where it's like, and even I'm one of these people where I don't I don't notice, like, I can't tell the difference necessarily as much as well as someone else between, like, say, good and bad fight choreography. But even I could, like, notice it's like, oh, she's a little bit sluggish.
And robotic. I
Yeah.
felt like it was sluggish and robotic. It didn't feel fluid or anything. You know?
And the thing is that it's because it was a dance choreography for her.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, Ewan McGregor. I can't remember who he did it with, but he went and said that with the prequels, he would find. I can't remember if it was the fight choreographer or the person that played Darth Maul. But when there was some spare time, I can't remember the name, but
it's either Nick Gillard or Ray Park.
yeah, well, I like I said, I can't remember the name. But he would, you know, if there was some spare minutes on the set type of situation, meet up with one of those two and just go hard. Just absolutely, you know, sort of really knuckle down on the sword fighting. So, of course, when he needed to, I think it was actually, I can't remember now, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, he would go through the choreography and go, you know, absolutely hand fierce. So when it came time for him to do the fighting, he knew exactly what to do, and he could well and truly keep the speed up.
So, another, let's move on to one of the other topics real quick because I'm running a little low on time myself at the moment. So I want to go ahead and try to move on to something else. But before we do that, do either of you have any final thoughts you want to throw in about Ahsoka? Like, what would you rate it and all that stuff, you know?
Where'd you? I don't know. I mean, I'd probably have to sit down and slog my way through it to really give it a rating.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, everything that I saw, just profoundly average. There's nothing that. Oh, sorry, and Dave Tennant did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
I liked his character, but then again, you know, he was just voicing. Well, actually, I've got no idea if he was voicing or acting or whatever. But
yeah.
you know, it's a bit hard to sort of and you know, in that one episode that I fully watched, I did like Ezra.
Yeah.
That was a great choice.
Yeah. I agree.
I I can't believe they got him to act in that hologram. That didn't work in the first episode. That didn't work. That didn't look like a teenager. That looked like an adult.
It did. It didn't look like.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, they didn't need to have him act it. They could have just got. Well, they were using a hologram, so they could have just done anything they bloody well wanted to. But they could have just got a kid that somewhat looked right, because frankly, we weren't getting great details, and then just had him voice over.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. There just seemed to be no expertise in it.
Nope.
It felt
Mm-hmm.
like everyone. It felt like everyone's first show.
Yeah. It
You
just it
know,
just didn't
let's
feel.
hire everyone. Let's hire everyone straight out of university. Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's what it felt like, and I'm like, is there no talent back here anywhere? Or what's going on? Yeah, I'm not
No,
saying
yeah,
all of them are
they,
not talented, but it just doesn't feel like they
Kathleen
are.
Kennedy fired them. Ah,
True, true,
um,
true.
they did not bow to the Führer.
Well,
But yeah, so that's pretty much like I said, I'll have to sit and watch. Um, but there just was nothing. There's nothing so far that
yeah,
really makes me sort of go, yeah, I want to see more of that. Though I'm told that there is actually one thing that everyone kind of went, yeah, I want to see more than that. Let's see more of that. Unfortunately, we're not going to get any more of that
probably not.
because the thing that they were saying, I want to see more of that was Balon Scroll, or however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, and
And
him passing away, he was the best character on there, in my opinion. I mean, besides, of
Yep.
course, Hayden Christensen's Anakin, the way they portrayed Anakin in this was really good.
okay, well, I might have to watch that episode.
Yeah, I think
But
the fifth one, that's the best one out of all of them, in my opinion. Now, I mean, you might not like it. I don't know. But my opinion, it was the best one.
yeah, but oh dear, we've lost Tano.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did. Um,
God.
yeah, it's just sort of a case of uh, there was a lot of hope and not a lot of change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have probably a lot to say, but honestly, I'm going to save some of that for possible later stream coming pretty soon because I'm getting close to, I think, the end of the semester. I don't know how many more classes I got left to go. I mean, this will be next two are like I think my 4 for the semester. So I don't know how long my break's going to be, but if I have a break coming pretty soon, I will be because this is the last week of classes on with these two I'm working on right now. But
Nice.
oh yeah, I'm super excited to hopefully finally have a break, at least a week off because this. I'm not even going into all that. That's something for later to talk about. Anyways, I will end up we will stream again hopefully pretty soon because this has been a long time coming anyways and I've been meaning to get back into it. It's been a while since we last did it, so in like a later stream I think we'll go a little more in depth with the Ahsoka series because of course Chrono's not here and I don't have as much time this time around to do the stream. I'm just doing it because I've missed doing it, so I'll probably end up doing one pretty soon. So I'm going to hold off some of the thoughts that I've got, but I do want to mention a couple other things, such as um, you know, the Disney movie situation, how Disney movies are doing terrible in the box office. you know, and of course, South
No
Park, and
surprise.
yeah, no surprise at all. Okay, and
Actually,
South Park added to that, so that's a little something I want to mention before we leave.
actually, I'll have to find it, but there's a really good video um, about how bad Wish is.
See, I
Oh
don't know
my.
anything about it.
Yeah.
I've not been following Wish at all. I've just been hearing it's bad, and that's it. So
That's all you
Actually,
need to know.
dude, I can go through a brief synopsis.
Just listen to "This Is the Thanks I Get" or any of the soundtrack. Just listen to that, and then you
Oh,
know all you need to know.
okay, now I'm curious.
Uh,
I'm going to do that
okay,
after
the
the
villain,
stream.
the villain's song. So you know how in pretty much every Disney movie there's a villain song.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Always.
The villain song has I'm probably gonna mess up the line, but the villain song essentially has a line in it somewhere along the lines of, "I'm happy that I was able to essentially allow you to live here for free."
Huh?
And that's the villain.
I wish I knew the context of the line at least. That's really
The
weird.
lines in a lot of the songs, like if you actually go and like look up the lyrics, it is like a really terrible AI made them.
Oh
And
no.
this isn't just for the songs, but for the villain, I'll say in quotes, and how they handle him. They basically, I don't get what these people were thinking. They were like saying like, oh, this is a return to classic Disney villains and all that, and they seem to have forgotten that so many things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe what I have no idea what they mean return to classic Disney villains, because Disney villains were, villains.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Not someone that created a utopia for everyone to come and essentially live there for nothing.
And who had evidently, at least from the leaks that I've seen, evidently had kind of a tragic backstory too, to kind of justify
Absolutely.
their actions. It's just
Absolutely. And that's what's crazy about it. He pretty much bought himself up from nothing, created this peaceful, orderly kingdom. And just because there's this one weird rule, the so-called hero tries to destroy everything.
and they don't they just decide basically like kind of with his. Here's the thing, like there are two main ways to do villains. A lot of Disney villains don't have any backstory, let alone any sympathetic backstory, and that's for a reason, because that's extremely
evil.
Yeah, you've got to be, if you're going to do a villain who has some trajectory where they go from good guy to bad guy, you've got to be really careful and very clear, and you've got to do a really good job of selling that pathway. But if you botch it, then you're going to have what we've got with Wish, where it's like, hey, actually that guy makes some good points, and there's some, he's kind of a sympathetic character in many ways, and like it's like and that's the thing, it's like classic Disney villains. If you think of like Ursula or Jafar or whoever, I'm never at any point feeling sympathetic towards those characters. They're just evil. And they work. If they really
Um,
want, they would have been better off if they had with that guy, if with the king, if they had not given any of that backstory, not and had gone in just straight begin. He's just totally evil, but instead they just kind of made him snap for no reason, and just it just doesn't make sense.
and the thing is that um, the main character or the supposed hero, I guess you could sort of acts like um, oh god, how do you pronounce her name again? Um, Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate, or sorry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Mm-hmm.
I want it now, and that's the hero. That is essentially the hero's mentality. No, I want it, but it might not be good for you to want it. I want it. Well, we all know what happened with how she wanted the golden goose egg. But
Yep.
that's we've got this. Okay, going into a brief synopsis. The king sets up this kingdom. Everyone can sort of just rock up and live there for free, but they have to give up a wish. Or if they were born there, they have to give it up on their 18th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if their wish is something that will be beneficial or something that could if it was beneficial or something that could be achieved, sort of like, I want to become a knight. That's it. Yeah, cool. Here you go. You're a knight now. So the wish gets granted.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a sort of very obscure wish, sort of like, I want to be powerful. Powerful in what way? You might, the wish, the person who said the wish might be just sort of, I want to be powerful so I can, save people. But the wish is stated as, I want to be powerful. Well, that's obscure. I can't, the king sort of goes, I can't grant that. Because the thing is that could be, anything could happen in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a great hero or a great villain. Don't know. Well, that wish doesn't get granted. And the thing is that you don't remember having that wish.
Yeah.
Now, the story goes, the main character's grandfather, I think is getting 100 years, is really, 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 really old, has been living there for ages, and never had the wish granted. And essentially sort of pretty much starts a rebellion.
Yep.
I
heard that like leaks behind the scenes that they explicitly wanted to create like a quote activist movie.
What? Okay. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so she essentially, starts a rebellion, and I haven't seen the story, so I don't know. I don't know, but as Commander Tano said, the king eventually goes crazy, opens a book, gets possessed, and now is bad. Yeah, and pretty much, we're meant to be rooting for the person that's a teenager going, I want it now, while living in a complete and utter utopia that I think anyone would sign on to type situation.
Dang.
And you can tell they also with it they spent so much. It's like they spent all the very limited brain power that they had in like whoever was writing it. They spent their very limited brain power in trying to figure out not how to make this story and kind of the metaphysics of it all be coherent, but figuring out how many Easter eggs can we cram into this film. Like, and honestly, most of the positive reviews I've seen is like, "Oh, hey, we found over 100 Disney Easter eggs in this film." It's like, okay, but what about the plot? Like, well, it's like that. It isn't. There's nothing about it. It's just a cram filled with Easter eggs.
Pretty much, I'm guessing the reviewers were all member berry addicts.
Yeah, they were.
So yeah, that's the short and nasty of the of Wish.
There's also, I mean, there's also a lot of interesting discussions about people wondering whether certain everything from the animation to the story to definitely the songs and the lyrics, whether there was AI involved. One of the funniest things I found, I reposted it a couple days ago on Twitter. It basically was someone had taken kind of the lyrics from some of the songs from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was like back in 1996, and lined them up side by side with the lyrics of some of the Wish songs, and the difference. Like, it was so. I think I've like someone lined up to compare like what's it that song like Hellfire that that's sung in the Hunchback. So the villain song in Hunchback of Notre Dame, and
Yes.
and you've got like the lyrics to it. It's just like it's like it's actually in English language sentences, and they're sophisticated. It's like, and then you just have the next to it, you have Disney in 2023. It's just a constant repeat of this is the thanks I get, this is the thanks I get, just over and over. It's like, it's just like.
I'm going to be looking this stuff up after stream, just so you know.
You should. This has been a fun movie to just. The horse is dead, but it is so much fun to keep beating it.
Oh, it's a train wreck that is just keeps on going, and just when you think it's finally stopped, another carriage just comes in and slams into the wreck.
Yep.
It just there is just you just can't understand how this here we go. The Dragon's Treasure. Disney's Wish, an immoral and dangerous message. That's the video that I saw that pretty much spelled out what I just told you in far more detail and much better. It's actually surprisingly horribly underviewed. It really needs to have more.
Part of the problem is there have been I've seen so many good videos of takedowns of Wish that it's so hard to keep track of which ones I've seen and haven't. It's like it's kind of bizarre, actually. I'm surprised that there are a lot of people who normally I'd be like, oh, they're kind of. They'd normally be like shilling for Disney, but they're totally turning on this film, and for a lot of the same reasons that that's so incoherent and the writing. Oh my!
I'm I'm just like, you know what? Stop making movies. If you're not going to
Really?
make them right, don't make them at all.
They could have just released something they'd already made, just anything. You know, they've it's someone made a point like they could have like spent the year, you know, their kind of their 100th anniversary, like say each month just release some classic movie, just pick one, release it in the theaters, and they'd actually make money compared to what they've done with the hundreds of millions of dollars they've no doubt have sunk into Wish and to, it's
The
just
thing is that what they need to do is they need to clear out 90% of
Scum
the
and
stuff
villainy.
they currently have now.
mhm.
You know, they need to get all the ideologues and all the activists out, and then they might actually be able to create something worth a damn.
And that's the problem is they have people also who just don't, you know, they don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to animate or
Live.
write or anything. I read some leak where something where apparently like there's you've seen probably in trailers like there's kind of this shot where the villain king is riding on his horse, but you don't. It's kind of framed so that you don't see the horse's legs because apparently they didn't know how to animate a horse running.
That just don't sound
Oh
right.
my god.
It's crazy and it's what's so weird too is to think um how in such a really it wasn't that long ago where you had so two good movies in my opinion, one 2D, one 3D. 2D Princess and the Frog, 3D Tangled. And to compare like you know, like for Tangled, for instance, if you want to kind of more compare apples to apples in terms of like 3D animation, it's like Tangled is like, oh my word, like I've like watched some clips from it recently, and I was like kind of looking at like how they would like animate hair and just kind of like the physics of all that. It's like and that was way back in like what like 2010 or
2010.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's you know that's like 13 years ago, and it's like and they were able to do that and now and now they just can't do it any of that and or likely like if you want to go with you know even earlier with you know with 2D the Princess and the Frog and how that looks and it looks you know
Mm-hmm.
kind of amazing and they really did a good job actually utilizing 2D as a medium with it and comparing that to what Wish looks like and kind of how much detail, say, both Tangled and Princess and the Frog had in kind of the sets and that they use with them versus some of the ways you can kind of tell they try to cut corners with Wish. It's just interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You'd think they would have improved things by 2023, but you know, it's like they just have been they have like a brain drain basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been obvious for years.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of it's just due to the fact that they went on that live action binge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, so the thing is that they uh, just didn't do any 2D and barely did any 3D.
I think they need
Just
to go back
live
to 2D.
action. So yeah, but I mean, all the skills have sort of atrophied, and people have probably retired, and because they weren't working on it, they kind of haven't kept up with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
While over in Japan, anime is just sort of going, yeah, no, we'll just take over.
All right. So, with that all mentioned, it's very clear why Disney's not making money with their movies anymore. I think though because my time
Incompetence and activism.
Incompetence and activism are two really short ways to describe their fall. So, with all that said, I don't have much time left, so I'm just going to go ahead and end the stream with that one. It's been great having you guys back with us. I plan to do this hopefully within the next couple weeks, and we can actually talk a little more in depth because if nothing changes, I should be like free from classes for like a Christmas break or something like that. So that'll be fun, and then I can, uh, maybe plan out a stream instead of just do one off the top of my head. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you want to. We haven't been posting much recently, but our lives are pretty busy. We do try to get back to it. We want to, whenever we can, that is. So leave a like, leave a comment, join the Discord. Everything's in the description if you want to follow us on any of our socials. And yeah, that's it. So may the force be with you, and have a good night.